Everything you've been told about this place is a lie.
The lion you call a king? He steals more meals than he catches. The hyena you call a thief? She's the most successful hunter on this entire plain. The fastest animal on Earth loses most of its races. And the deadliest killer of lions isn't a predator at all.
For the next hour, we're going to take the savannah apart, animal by animal, and show you who really holds the power here. Not the version from the storybooks, the real one, where kings are frauds, scavengers are geniuses, and the prey sometimes hunts back. This is the African savannah, and survival here has no mercy. Let's begin with the most famous fraud in the animal kingdom, the male African lion. 420 pounds of muscle, a mane like a war banner, and a roar that carries for 8 kilometers across the open plain. Every documentary ever made calls him the King of Beasts, and almost none of them tell you the truth about how he eats. Because the king rarely hunts. In a typical pride, the lionesses do up to 90% of the killing. They are smaller, faster, and they work in coordinated teams, flanking, driving, ambushing. The male's job is different. He patrols the borders, he fights rival males, and when the lionesses bring down a wildebeest after a half hour of brutal, exhausting work, he walks in and he eats first. Not because he earned it, because he can take it. And it gets worse for his reputation. Studies across the Serengeti have found that lions obtain a significant share of their food, not by hunting at all, but by stealing it. They listen for hyena clans celebrating a kill, follow the sound, and simply take the carcass by force. The King of Beasts, in other words, is one of the most prolific thieves on the savannah. So why do we call him a king? Here's the uncomfortable answer. Because the lazy strategy works. A male lion's true job is not food, it's war. His mane isn't decoration, it's armor, padding his throat against the claws of rival males. His life is a countdown. He wins control of a pride around age 5, holds it for perhaps 2 or 3 years, and then a younger coalition arrives to take everything. These fights are not ritual. Males die in them, and the ones who survive defeat are exiled, wandering, starving, hunting alone for the first time in years. Most deposed kings do not live long. And when a new king takes the throne, he does something that shocked the first scientists who documented it. He kills the cubs. Every cub, fathered by the previous male, is hunted down within days. It seems like senseless cruelty, but it's cold arithmetic. A lioness nursing cubs won't breed for 2 years. A lioness who loses her cubs is ready within weeks. The new king has perhaps 30 months on the throne. He cannot afford to raise another male's bloodline. This is why fewer than 1 in 5 lion cubs survives to adulthood. Starvation, hyenas, leopards, buffalo, and above all, their own kind. The most dangerous thing in a young lion's life is not a predator, it's a change of government. So look again at the king. The mane, the roar, the throne. He is not the savannah's greatest hunter. He's not even in the top 5. He is something colder, a warlord living on borrowed time, taxing the work of others, and defending a kingdom that will, inevitably, be taken from him by force.
The lion rules through power. But there's another hunter on this plain who rules through something far more dangerous: intelligence. And for 2,000 years, we've called her a coward. If the Savanna kept court records, the spotted hyena would have the strongest defamation case in natural history. You know the reputation: the skulking coward, the graveyard thief, the cackling scavenger that waits for braver animals to do the killing. Aristotle despised them. Hemingway called them obscene. Disney made one the punchline of an entire film. Every part of that reputation is wrong, and the truth is far more unsettling. Spotted hyenas kill the majority of what they eat. In some ecosystems, up to 95% of their food comes from their own hunts. Working in coordinated packs, they run down wildebeest and zebra over distances of 5 kilometers or more, maintaining speeds no lion could sustain. In the Ngorongoro crater, researchers discovered something that flips the entire story on its head. It's frequently the lions who scavenge from hyena kills, not the other way around. The king steals from the coward. And the hyena's real weapon isn't her jaws, though those jaws crush bone with over 1,000 pounds of pressure, letting her digest what every other predator leaves behind. Her real weapon is her society. A spotted hyena clan can number over 100 individuals, organized in a strict hierarchy that scientists compare to primate societies, to baboons, even to us. Every hyena knows its exact rank. Rank is inherited from the mother. And here is the detail that surprises everyone. The entire society is run by females. Every adult female outranks every adult male. The clan's most powerful warrior, its political leader, its decision-maker. She is a matriarch, and her daughters inherit the throne. Inside this society, hyenas perform feats of intelligence that rival apes. They recognize more than 100 individual voices. They form alliances, hold grudges, and reconcile after fights. In problem-solving experiments, hyenas have outperformed chimpanzees at tasks requiring teamwork, cooperating in silence without a single vocal cue. That famous laugh? It isn't laughter at all. It's a social signal, a precise broadcast of the caller's age, rank, and stress level. A hyena giggling at a kill is often a low-ranking animal under pressure, announcing its anxiety to the clan. What sounds to us like madness is actually language. So why the slander? Why 2,000 years of contempt? Partly because hyenas raided human camps and graves, and we never forgave them. Partly because they look wrong to us, the sloping back, the heavy neck, a body built for endurance rather than elegance. We punished them for not being beautiful. But the Savanna doesn't care about beautiful. It cares about results. And by results, the spotted hyena is arguably the most successful large carnivore in Africa. More numerous than lions, more adaptable, more intelligent, led by queens instead of kings. The hyena wins through teamwork and brains. But the next hunter on our list needs neither. He works alone, in total silence. And he's so good at not being seen that he might be the most successful big cat on Earth. Here is a fact that should be impossible. The leopard,
a 130-pound carnivore that can kill an antelope twice its weight, lives right now on the outskirts of major cities, in farmland, in suburbs. Across Africa and Asia, leopards live closer to humans than any other big cat, and most people will go their entire lives without seeing one. Not once. That is the leopard's superpower. Not speed, not strength. Absence. While the lion built an empire on noise, and the hyena built one on numbers, the leopard built his on silence. He is the savanna's only true loner among the big hunters. No pride, no clan, no backup. Every hunt, every fight, every wound, his alone. And that solitude has forged the most complete predator in Africa. Consider the engineering. A leopard's shoulder blades are detached from his collarbone in a way that lets him flow across the ground with his body almost touching the earth. 130 pounds of muscle moving with less noise than a falling leaf. His spots aren't decoration, they're called rosettes, and in broken light and tall grass, they don't camouflage him so much as erase him. Prey animals have stared directly at a motionless leopard from meters away and walked on. He does his real work in darkness. A leopard's night vision is roughly 7 times more sensitive than ours. While the lions sleep and the hyenas squabble, the ghost goes hunting, closing the final distance not in a chase, but in a single explosive ambush. Most leopard hunts end within seconds of starting. The prey rarely knows the hunt happened at all. But the kill is only half the problem. On a plain ruled by lions and hyena clans, a lone hunter cannot defend a carcass. Any meal left on the ground is a meal about to be stolen. So the leopard does something no other big cat can. He takes the meal off the ground entirely. With a grip strength that borders on absurd, a leopard can haul a carcass heavier than his own body straight up a vertical tree trunk and wedge it in the branches 10 meters above the reach of every thief on the savanna. Up there, in his larder, he can feed for days, while lions pace uselessly below. It is one of the greatest displays of raw strength in the animal kingdom, and he performs it with his teeth. This combination, stealth, patience, strength, and total self-reliance, has made the leopard the most widespread big cat on the planet. Lions need protected reserves. Tigers need vast wilderness. The leopard needs only one thing: somewhere to hide. Give him a rocky hill, a ravine, a sugarcane field, and he will quietly run a predator's business right under our noses. The ghost's strategy is patience, waiting for the perfect, unfair fight. But his smaller cousin made the opposite bet. She bet everything on a fair fight, in open ground, in broad daylight. She became the fastest creature ever to run on land. And it's ruining her. We measure the cheetah by a single number. 70, as in 70 miles per hour, the fastest any animal has ever run on land. 0 to 60 in 3 seconds, quicker than most supercars. It is the savanna's most celebrated athlete. And it might be the most heartbreaking animal on this entire plain. Because everything that makes the cheetah fast also makes her fragile. And almost everything she catches, she loses. Start with the body. To hit those speeds, Evolution stripped the cheetah down to nothing but engine. Her bones are light. Her skull is small. Her jaws and teeth are reduced, sacrificed to make room for enormous nasal passages that feed oxygen to straining muscles. Her claws don't fully retract, so they grip the ground like sprinters' spikes. She is not built like a predator. She is built like a missile. And a missile is terrible at everything except the one thing it does. The hunt itself is a gamble against her own body. A cheetah at full sprint generates so much heat that she can only run for about 30 seconds before her body temperature climbs toward fatal levels. 30 seconds. That's the entire window. If she hasn't made the kill by then, she has to stop. Not out of choice, but because her own engine is cooking her alive. After a chase, she'll lie panting, completely helpless, for up to half an hour before she can even begin to eat. And that half hour of helplessness is where the tragedy lives. Imagine it. The cheetah does everything right. She stalks, she explodes, she runs down a gazelle in a breathtaking sprint. The hardest, most metabolically expensive hunt on the Savanna. And then, exhausted and unable to defend herself, she watches. A hyena arrives, or a lion, or even a pack of jackals, and they simply take her kill. She cannot fight. A single injury, a twisted ankle, a cracked tooth, could end her life, because she has no backup and no margin. So she surrenders the meal she nearly died to catch, and she walks away hungry. Cheetahs lose a significant portion of their kills to stronger scavengers. The greatest sprinter on Earth is also the Savanna's most reliable caterer. It gets harder still for the mothers. A cheetah raising cubs has to hunt constantly to feed them. And while she's hunting, the cubs are hidden in the grass, undefended. Lions and hyenas kill cheetah cubs on sight, seeing them as future competition. In some regions, the vast majority of cheetah cubs don't survive their first months. A cheetah mother may raise litter after litter and watch nearly all of them die. So why does the cheetah still exist? Why hasn't evolution corrected this seemingly losing design? Because of that one number. 70 miles per hour opens a door no other predator can walk through. The cheetah can catch the fast, healthy gazelles that lions and hyenas can't dream of running down. She occupies a lane of her own, the daylight, high-speed lane, where for 30 glorious seconds, nothing alive can catch her. She is not built to win every fight. She is built to win one specific, impossible race. And she pays for that gift with everything else. The cheetah bet on the individual, one perfect body alone. The next hunter made the exact opposite bet. No single one of them is impressive, but together, they may be the most efficient killing machine on the African plain. On a savanna ruled by kings and queens and lone assassins, there is one animal that does something almost unthinkable. It votes. The African wild dog, also called the painted wolf for the swirling patchwork of black, gold, and white that makes every individual unique, is one of the most endangered carnivores in Africa and one of the most misunderstood. For decades, farmers and even park rangers slaughtered them as vicious vermin. The truth is the near opposite. The wild dog may be the most cooperative, most affectionate, and most successful pack hunter on the continent. Let's deal with success first, because the number is staggering. Lions succeed in maybe 1 in 4 or 5 hunts. The vaunted cheetah, perhaps half. The African wild dog succeeds in up to 80% of its hunts, the highest hunting success rate of any large African predator. Not by being strong, not by being fast, by being relentless, and by being a team that never, ever breaks.
Here's how they win.
A single wild dog isn't much, 40, 50 pounds, with a bite that's nothing special. But a pack doesn't rely on power. It relies on endurance and communication. They don't ambush. They announce themselves, and they chase. A long, loping, tireless pursuit that can cover kilometers. The prey sprints and tires. The dogs simply continue. They take turns at the front. They cut the corners. They herd the target toward packmates waiting ahead. It is less a chase than a slowly closing trap, run by a team in constant contact.
And the communication is extraordinary.
Before a hunt, the pack performs what scientists literally call a rally, a frenzy of greeting, nuzzling, and high-pitched twittering. For years, this looked like simple excitement. Then, researchers counted closely and discovered something that sounds impossible. The dogs were sneezing, and the number of sneezes seemed to act like votes. Enough sneezes, and the pack moves out to hunt. Not enough, and they wait. A hunting decision made collectively by a quorum, a democracy with a runny nose. But the part that truly breaks the vicious vermin myth is what happens back at the den. Wild dog society is built on a tenderness almost unmatched among predators. The whole pack helps raise a single dominant pair's pups. Hunters return and regurgitate fresh meat for the babysitters, the sick, the injured, and the old. A wild dog with a broken leg, which would be left to die in almost any other species, is fed and protected by its pack. They look after their wounded. They feed their elderly. They put the pups first at every kill, letting the youngest eat before the strongest adults. Think about that against everything we've seen. The lion kills his rival's cubs. The cheetah mother loses hers to bigger predators. And here is this small, spotted, sneezing underdog, running the most humane society on the Savanna and winning more hunts than any of them. The tragedy is that this beautiful system is fragile. Wild dogs need enormous territories, and they're devastated by human fences, roads, and disease. There are only a few thousand left. The most successful hunter on the plain is also one of the closest to vanishing from it. So far, every killer we've met hunts on land. But the Savanna's single most patient and most lethal ambush predator doesn't live on the plain at all. He lives in the one place the entire Savanna is forced to visit, and he has been perfecting his ambush for 100 million years. Every animal we've met so far is, in evolutionary terms, brand new. The lions, the hyenas, the antelope, recent arrivals, a few million years old at most. The thing waiting in the river watched the dinosaurs die. The Nile crocodile is a living fossil, a design so perfect it has barely changed in 100 million years. And its strategy is the simplest and most terrifying on the Savanna. Do nothing for as long as it takes, in the one place where everything must eventually come.
Forte.
On a plain that bakes under a relentless sun, every creature, predator and prey alike, is chained to the river. They can outrun a lion, they can outthink a hyena, but they cannot stop being thirsty. And so, sooner or later, every animal on the savanna walks down to the water's edge and lowers its head. The crocodile has built its entire existence around that single moment of vulnerability. It is the master of patience. A large Nile crocodile can go for months without eating. Its metabolism so efficient that a single large meal can sustain it for a season. So it can afford to wait. It lies submerged, eyes and nostrils just breaking the surface, utterly motionless, indistinguishable from a floating log. It studies the patterns at a crossing. It learns where the herds come down. And then it simply waits for the calendar. The calendar is the Great Migration. Once a year, more than 1 million wildebeest and hundreds of thousands of zebra must cross the rivers. The crocodiles don't chase. They don't need to. They position themselves at the crossing points and let the panicking herds deliver prey directly into their jaws. Some of the largest crocodiles are believed to time their entire feeding year around these few chaotic weeks, eating enough in days to last for months. The attack, when it finally comes, is pure physics. The crocodile explodes upward with a burst of speed that seems impossible for something that was, a heartbeat ago, a log. Its bite is the strongest ever measured in a living animal. Thousands of pounds of force, enough to hold a struggling buffalo. But here's the thing. The crocodile can't chew. Those jaws clamp, they don't slice. So it uses the water itself as a weapon. It drags the prey into the depths and holds it under, drowning an animal many times stronger than the bite alone could ever subdue. And for larger carcasses, it performs the infamous death roll, spinning its entire body with savage power to twist away chunks of flesh it cannot bite off. There's a final, chilling detail. Crocodiles will cache a kill, wedging the carcass underwater beneath a submerged log or root, and let it soften for days before returning to feed. They are patient, even with the dead. For 100 million years, this design has not needed an upgrade. While mammals rose and fell, while the grasslands themselves are a recent invention, the ambush in the water just kept working. The crocodile is proof of the savanna's oldest law. You don't have to be the fastest or the smartest. You just have to be in the right place when thirst arrives. The crocodile owns the water. But there's a kingdom above the savanna that we've ignored completely, and its ruler can kill from a height of 200 meters, striking prey that never even looks up. Look up! For the entire history of the savanna, the animals down here have feared the grass, the water, the shadows in the trees. They learned to watch the horizon for lions and the riverbank for crocodiles. But there is one direction almost nothing thinks to guard, and it belongs to the largest eagle in Africa, the martial eagle. A wingspan approaching 2.5 meters, eyesight estimated to be 3 to 4 times sharper than a human's, sharp enough to spot prey from kilometers away, a speck on the ground that has no idea it has already been seen. This is a predator that hunts from a height where it is, to its victims, completely invisible.
Most people assume eagles eat fish and rodents. The martial eagle operates in a different category entirely. It is powerful enough to take prey that should, by all logic, be far too large for a bird. Young antelope, monitor lizards, jackals, small antelope like duikers, and the young of impala. There are accounts of martial eagles striking prey many times their own weight. It is one of the only birds on Earth that routinely hunts mammals as significant prey, a flying predator that competes with the cats and dogs of the plain. The strike is the part that defies belief. The eagle doesn't flap down for a fight. It folds its wings and drops, a controlled fall from extreme height, accelerating into a silent dive. The prey, grazing peacefully, has no warning, no sound, no shadow, until it's too late. The eagle's talons, longer than a big cat's claws and driven by a grip strength that can crush bone, hit with the combined force of the bird's weight and all that downward speed. Many victims are killed by the impact alone before they understand they're under attack. And the eagle's vision isn't just sharp, it's a different sense than ours. A martial eagle can hold a target in perfect focus during a high-speed dive, tracking a fleeing animal while its own world rushes past at terrifying speed. It sees a slower, sharper version of reality, in which a sprinting jackal is an easy, predictable target. This is what makes the open sky the savanna's last, truly safe-seeming place that isn't safe at all. A young animal can survive the lions, dodge the hyenas, avoid the river. It can do everything right on the ground, and a death it never sees can still arrive from 200 meters straight up. But the martial eagle pays a price for ruling the sky. There are simply not very many of them. A breeding pair needs an enormous territory. They raise barely one chick every couple of years, and they're increasingly persecuted and poisoned. The king of the savanna sky reigns over a shrinking, lonely kingdom. The eagle kills from the air with overwhelming force. But the next hunter does something stranger and, in its own way, braver. It's also a bird, but it gave up the easy kill from above and chose to fight the savanna's deadliest enemies on foot. Here is one of evolution's strangest decisions. Take a bird of prey, a relative of eagles and hawks, fully capable of flight, armed with a hooked beak and sharp eyes. Now, have it abandon the sky almost entirely, grow legs like a crane, and walk the savanna on foot like some kind of feathered cowboy. Give it a crest of black quills behind its head that looks, to the people who named it, like a clerk with pens tucked behind his ear. And then turn it into one of the most specialized killers on the entire plain. That is the secretary bird, and it is far more dangerous than its ridiculous appearance suggests. It hunts the thing almost every other animal flees from: snakes, including the most venomous on the continent, cobras, mambas, adders, whose bites can kill an elephant-sized animal, let alone a bird. The secretary bird walks straight toward them, on purpose, every day. How does it survive? With a weapon hidden in plain sight: its legs. The secretary bird's strike is one of the fastest and most powerful kicks in the animal kingdom. It stamps down on its prey
with a force many times its own body weight, delivered in a fraction of a heartbeat, far faster than a snake can react. Scientists who studied the kick found it happens in around 15 milliseconds. To put that in perspective, it's quicker than a human blink. The snake never gets the chance to strike back, because before it can, it's already been stunned or killed by a blow it never saw coming.
And the long legs are no accident. They're armor and distance combined. By striking from the end of those stilt-like legs, the bird keeps its vital body far away from the snake's fangs. If it does get bitten on the leg, on the tough, scaly skin down there, the venom often can't do enough damage to matter. It has engineered its entire body into a snake-killing machine that fights at arm's length. It hunts by walking, covering up to 30 kilometers a day on foot, eyes down, flushing prey from the grass. Snakes, lizards, rodents, insects, the eggs and chicks of other birds. When it finds something dangerous, it dances. A strange, stamping, wing-flaring assault that looks almost comical right up until the moment its prey stops moving. Why give up flight for this? Because the ground was a wide open opportunity. The savanna is full of snakes and small prey, and very few hunters are willing to take on a mamba for a living. The secretary bird claimed an entire niche almost no one else dared to enter, and it did it not with talons from above, but with patience, armor, and the fastest legs on the plain. We've now met the savanna's great hunters, and a few of its strangest. But there's a smaller killer we've overlooked. One with no power, no speed, no special weapon. Its only gift is being smarter and more shameless than everyone else. And that has kept it alive for longer than the lions. Every kingdom has its kings, its queens, its champions. And every kingdom has the one who survives by being none of those things. Meet the black-backed jackal. No bigger than a medium dog, no real weapons, hopelessly outmatched by every major predator on the plain. By the brutal logic of the savanna, this animal should not last a week. It is in fact one of the oldest and most enduring carnivores in Africa, a survivor that has outlasted countless stronger species. And it does it through the one strategy this entire episode keeps circling back to. Power on the savanna is never what it appears. The jackal's superpower is shamelessness. It has no pride in either sense of the word. It will eat literally anything: a fresh kill, a rotting carcass, insects, fruit, eggs, a newborn gazelle hidden in the grass, scraps stolen from under the noses of lions. This total flexibility means that while specialist hunters starve when their prey vanishes, the jackal just switches to something else. It is recession-proof, and it is breathtakingly bold. A jackal will trot up to a lion kill, a kill guarded by animals 40 times its size, and dart in to snatch a mouthful again and again, dancing just out of reach of swatting paws. It reads the big predators perfectly, calculating exactly how close it can get and for exactly how long. It steals from death itself and usually gets away with it. But the jackal's real genius is quieter, and it lives at the den. Black-backed jackals form intensely loyal, lifelong pairs, a mated couple that hunts, defends territory, and raises pups together as equals. And here's the clever part. Their grown pups often don't leave.
They stay on as helpers, delaying their own breeding to assist their parents in raising the next litter. More helpers means more food brought back, more eyes watching for danger, and far more pups surviving. It's the same cooperative trick the wild dogs use, scaled down to a family business.
There's a darker side to that opportunism, the one that earns the jackal its villain reputation. During calving season, jackals become hunters of the helpless. They patrol the herds, watching for newborns, and a pair will work together to separate a gazelle fawn from its mother. The scavenger becomes a precise, cooperative killer when the opportunity is small enough to handle. It takes exactly the fights it can win, and never the ones it can't.
That's the whole philosophy. The lion risks everything in border wars. The cheetah risks everything in a single sprint. The jackal risks almost nothing, ever. It survives not by being the best at one thing, but by refusing to commit to anything, staying flexible, staying paired, staying alive, while the giants around it rise and fall.
But if the jackal survives by avoiding every fight it can't win, the next animal survives by doing the exact opposite. It's even smaller, and it picks fights with everything, including animals that could kill it in a single bite. It has, somehow, convinced the entire savanna to leave it alone. There is one animal on the savanna that has, by sheer attitude, exempted itself from the food chain.
It weighs about as much as a house cat.
Lions could kill it. Leopards could kill it. A dozen larger predators could, in theory, end it in seconds. And not one of them wants to try. Because the honey badger has spent its entire evolutionary history building a reputation so terrifying that the giants of the plain simply step aside and let it pass.
This is the closest thing the animal kingdom has to a creature with no fear. It starts with the armor. A honey badger's skin is extraordinarily thick, tough, and, crucially, loose. So loose that if a predator grabs it by the back of the neck, the badger can twist around inside its own skin and bite the attacker's face. Imagine trying to hold a furious animal wearing a coat 3 sizes too big with teeth on both ends. That loose hide also resists claws, quills, bee stings, and even the fangs of snakes. And the snakes are where the honey badger goes from tough to genuinely unbelievable. It hunts and eats some of the most venomous snakes on Earth. Cobras, puff adders, even mambas. There are documented cases of a honey badger being bitten by a venomous snake mid-meal, collapsing, lying as if dead for a couple of hours, and then simply getting back up, finishing the snake, and walking away. It appears to have evolved a remarkable resistance to venom that would kill a far larger animal many times over. It treats one of the deadliest weapons in nature as a minor inconvenience. Then there's the intelligence and the spite. Honey badgers are problem solvers of the first order. They've been documented using tools, stacking objects to climb walls, manipulating latches, and engineering elaborate escapes from enclosures designed to hold far cleverer-looking animals. Wildlife keepers tell stories of badgers that watched, learned, and broke out of every container put in front of them. This is not a dumb brawler. It's a tiny, fearless tactician. And it fights like it has nothing to lose, because functionally, it doesn't. Honey badgers have been recorded driving lions and leopards off kills, not by being stronger,
but by being so relentlessly, insanely aggressive that backing away simply isn't worth the giant's trouble. A lion can win the fight, but it might lose an eye or a chunk of its face doing it. And no rational predator takes that bet over a meal it can find elsewhere.
That's the honey badger's real weapon. Not its skin, not its venom resistance, not its claws. It's the math. It has made itself so costly to attack that the entire savanna has quietly agreed it isn't worth the price. A creature the size of a house cat has bluffed and battered its way to the top of the only ranking that matters: the list of animals everyone else leaves alone.
So far, every animal in this episode has been a hunter, or a hunter in disguise. Now we cross the line, because the savanna's most dangerous reputation doesn't belong to a predator at all. It belongs to the prey. And the next animal looks like an easy meal, right up until it kills you. Let's correct an assumption. We tend to split the savanna into two groups: the hunters and the hunted, the killers and the food. It's a clean story. It's also wrong, because some of the food came to the plain armed, armored, and entirely willing to fight back. And the first of them is an animal everyone underestimates: the warthog. On the surface, the warthog is comedy. The ungainly trot, the absurd kneeling to graze, the tail held straight up like a radio antenna when it runs. It looks like the savanna's clown, a low-effort meal for any predator that fancies one. That impression has gotten a lot of predators seriously hurt. Start with the obvious: the tusks. A warthog carries two sets of curved tusks, and the lower pair are honed to razor sharpness every time it eats, sharpened against the upper set with each bite. These aren't for show. A cornered warthog will charge, and a slash from those lower tusks can open a deep, dangerous wound in a lion or leopard. Predators have died from infected warthog wounds. The clown carries knives. But the warthog's real genius is its home. It's a master of the burrow, usually one abandoned by an aardvark, expanded and claimed. And the way it uses that burrow is brilliant. A warthog being chased doesn't dive in head first. It races to the entrance, then spins around at the last second and reverses in, backing into the hole tail first. Why? So that it faces outward. Now, the only way for a predator to reach it is to stick its head into a dark hole at the exact end where the tusks are waiting. Many predators take one look at that arrangement and decide dinner can wait. This turns the hunt completely around. A lion or leopard at a warthog burrow isn't a hunter at a kill. It's a frustrated giant staring down a fortified bunker defended by an angry tenant with blades. The warthog has converted the ground itself into armor. And warthogs are tougher than their cartoon image suggests. Those facial warts that give them their name aren't random lumps. In the males, they're protective pads that cushion blows during fights, letting boars batter each other in the breeding season without serious injury. Even their social lives are built around survival. Mothers and young form small groups, multiple sets of eyes watching the grass. And they're fast enough over short distances to reach a burrow before most predators can close the gap. The warthog will never be a predator. It will always be on the menu. But it has rewritten the terms of the deal. Yes, you may hunt me, but it will cost you, and I may take an eye or a paw with me on the way down. On the Savanna, that kind of price tag is its own form of power.
And if a 30-kilogram warthog can make a lion think twice, imagine what happens when the prey weighs nearly a ton, moves in armored battalions, and holds a grudge. If you ask the safari guides of Africa which animal they fear most, they will not say the lion. They will not say the leopard or the crocodile. Again and again, they say the same thing: the buffalo. The African buffalo, nicknamed with grim affection Black Death and the Widowmaker. Here is a herbivore, a grass-eater, an animal that, on paper, is prey, and it has killed more people and more lions than almost anything else on the plain. The most dangerous large animal on the Savanna, by reputation, doesn't have a single fang. It has horns, a ton of muscle, and a memory for grudges. Start with the individual. A big buffalo bull weighs close to a ton, muscle packed onto a frame built like a tank. Across its skull sits a fused shield of horn called a boss, so thick and solid it can shrug off a charging lion. The horns sweep out and up into points that can gore straight through a predator. A single bull, cornered, is a fight most lions would rather avoid. Lone buffalo bulls, old males pushed out of the herd, are the ones the guides fear most. Aggressive, unpredictable, and known to charge without warning, even to circle back and ambush whatever was tracking them. But the individual isn't even the real story. The herd is. African buffalo live in herds that can number in the hundreds, and within that herd is something rare in prey animals: organized collective defense. When lions attack, the buffalo don't simply scatter in panic. They can wheel, regroup, and counterattack as a unit. A wall of horns and muscle turning on the predators. Calves and the weak are pushed to the center. The bulls form the perimeter. And then, sometimes, the hunted become the hunters. There are well-documented cases of buffalo herds chasing lions, surrounding them, and killing them, tossing them with their horns, trampling them, refusing to let them escape. The most famous wildlife footage ever recorded, watched hundreds of millions of times, shows a buffalo herd doing exactly this, returning as a coordinated force to rescue a calf already in a lion's jaws, and driving the entire pride off in the process. The prey came back for its young, and won. This is the detail that unsettles people most. Buffalo appear to remember. They will mob a leopard in a tree. They will harass and pursue lions long after the immediate threat has passed, as if settling a score. Whether we call it revenge or simply hardwired defense, the effect on the predators is the same. Hunting buffalo is so dangerous that a single failed attempt can cripple or kill a lion, and the cats know it. Many prides specialize in avoiding adult buffalo entirely. So redraw the map one more time. The buffalo is not food that fights back as a last resort. It is a heavily armored, socially coordinated, long-memoried animal that has flipped the predator-prey relationship so completely that the apex hunters of Africa treat it with open fear. The buffalo wins through mass and muscle and the willingness to counterattack. But the next animal can't fight at all. It survives a deadlier gauntlet than almost anything on the plain. And it does it through one of the most spectacular endurance migrations
on Earth.
We need to talk about the stripes. Because for over a century, the smartest minds in biology argued about them. And the answer turned out to be stranger than any of the guesses. The zebra is, on the surface, a horse that made one baffling fashion decision. It lives on an open plain full of predators that hunt by sight, and it chose to wear the boldest, most visible pattern imaginable. Black and white, high contrast, impossible to miss. For a prey animal, this seems like suicide. So why? Charles Darwin himself argued about it. Some said camouflage, that the stripes blur into tall grass at dusk. Some said it was for confusing predators. The honest answer, for a long time, was that nobody really knew. And the leading modern explanation is one almost no one predicted. The stripes may be defense against flies. Biting flies, which carry deadly diseases, struggle to land on striped surfaces. Experiments have shown that flies approaching a zebra fail to decelerate properly and simply bounce off or veer away, as if the stripes scramble their final approach. On a continent where insect-borne disease kills more animals than any lion ever could, a coat that repels flies may be worth far more than one that hides you. The zebra didn't dress for the predators. It dressed for the parasites. But the stripes earn their keep against predators too, in a way you only see when the herd runs. A single zebra is easy to track. A galloping herd of zebra, stripes flowing and overlapping, becomes a churning, dazzling mass in which a lion struggles to lock onto any one target. To pick out a single animal to chase, to commit to one neck, one flank, becomes genuinely difficult when the whole herd dissolves into a moving optical storm. The stripes don't hide the zebra, they hide which zebra. And when evasion fails, the zebra has a final argument that predators respect. Its kick. A zebra's rear kick is delivered with bone-shattering force, powerful enough to break a lion's jaw or crack a skull. A predator that misjudges the attack and ends up behind a frightened zebra can have its hunting career ended in a single blow. And a lion that can't open its jaws is a lion that starves. So even the kill is a gamble. Many a hunt has ended not with a dead zebra, but with a limping, broken-jawed lion. The migration multiplies every danger. Zebra travel the Great Plains alongside the wildebeest, crossing the same crocodile rivers, walking the same gauntlet. The foals are the most vulnerable of all. And here, the stripes serve one last purpose. A newborn zebra learns to recognize its mother's unique stripe pattern within hours, imprinting on her so completely that in the chaos of a fleeing, dust-choked herd, it can still find the one animal whose milk and protection keep it alive. The pattern that confuses the lion is the same pattern that keeps mother and foal together. The zebra survives by complexity. A single coat doing the work of insect repellent, predator confusion, and family bond all at once. But it doesn't travel alone. It moves inside the largest herd of large mammals left on Earth, a living river of 1 million animals, and the single greatest feeding opportunity on the entire planet. Individually, the wildebeest might be the least impressive animal in this entire episode. It's often called clumsy, even ugly, a mismatched creature that looks assembled from spare parts, the front of a buffalo, the back of a horse, the beard of a goat. It's not particularly fast, not particularly strong, not particularly clever. A single wildebeest, alone on the plain, is one of the easiest meals out there. So how is the wildebeest one of the most successful large animals in Africa, numbering over 1 million? Because it discovered a truth that the lions and leopards never will. Sometimes, the winning strategy isn't to be a better individual. It's to stop being an individual at all. The wildebeest's power is the herd, and not just any herd. The Great Migration is the largest movement of large mammals on the planet. More than 1.5 million wildebeest, joined by hundreds of thousands of zebra and gazelle, circling endlessly across the plains in pursuit of the rains and the fresh grass that follows. From above, it's not a collection of animals. It's a single organism the size of a small country, flowing across the landscape. And inside that organism, individual death stops mattering, which is exactly the point. This is the brutal genius of safety in numbers, and the mathematics are merciless. When you are one of 1 million, the chance that the lion picks you specifically today is vanishingly small. The herd doesn't prevent predation, it dilutes it. Every animal becomes a single ticket in a lottery so vast that the predators, however many they are, can only ever claim a tiny fraction. The lions of the Serengeti eat their fill during the migration and barely make a dent. The most extreme expression of this strategy happens at birth. Wildebeest don't spread their calving across the year like most animals. Instead, the vast majority of calves, hundreds of thousands of them, are born within the same 2 or 3 weeks. It seems insane. A sudden flood of helpless newborns, a feast laid out for every predator on the plain. But that's the strategy working exactly as intended. The predators are simply overwhelmed. There are so many calves appearing so fast, but the lions, hyenas, and crocodiles physically cannot eat them quickly enough. They gorge until they can eat no more, and the survivors, the overwhelming majority, walk on. By drowning the predators in abundance, the herd saves most of its young. There's a heartbreaking efficiency to the newborns themselves. A wildebeest calf can stand within minutes of birth and run with the herd within hours, among the fastest any mammal achieves. It has to be. There is no hiding in the open, no den, no safety but the moving wall of the herd. So the calf is built to join the river of bodies almost instantly, because in the migration, to fall behind is simply to die. The wildebeest, the buffalo, the zebra, the great herds of grazers are the engine that feeds every predator we've met. But when all of them are done, when the hunters have eaten and the migration has passed, something has to deal with what's left behind. And the Savanna's final, most overlooked specialist has built an entire existence out of death itself. Before we reach the end, one more piece of prey, and it may be the most perfectly designed survivor on the entire plain. The impala is so common, so everyday, that almost every documentary uses it as a throwaway. The generic antelope, the default lion snack, the background animal. That dismissal is a mistake. The impala is not common because it's an easy meal. It's common because it is astonishingly, relentlessly hard to kill. Its first and most famous weapon is the leap. A startled impala can launch itself up to 3 meters high
and 10 meters forward in a single bound, clearing bushes, gaps, even other animals. But the leaping isn't just about distance. When a herd is attacked, the impala explode outward in every direction at once, a scattering burst of bodies arcing through the air in chaotic, unpredictable curves. To a predator, a target moving in a straight line is solvable. A target that suddenly rockets sideways and upward in a random direction is a calculation that keeps failing. The leap doesn't just create distance, it destroys the predator's aim.
There's a subtler trick inside the chaos too. Some scientists believe these spectacular, energy-wasting jumps are also a message to the predator itself. A display that says, "Look how strong, how fit, how explosive I am. Don't bother. You won't catch me, and you'll only tire yourself trying." The impala may be talking the lion out of the chase before it begins. And the impala manages its danger with the calendar, the same way the wildebeest does. Impala synchronize their births, flooding the plain with fawns in a narrow window so the predators are swamped and most young survive. The rest of the year, they read the savanna with constant twitching vigilance. Large eyes set wide for a panoramic field of view, ears swiveling independently, and a herd in which dozens of sets of senses share the watch. An impala is almost never truly alone, and almost never fully relaxed. It even manages its own herds with quiet intelligence. For much of the year, females and young gather in large groups. More eyes, more safety, while bachelor males form their own separate bands. During the breeding season, the dominant males stake out and defend territories. But the moment the pressure of predators rises, the impala readily abandon their squabbles and merge back into the safety of the crowd. They are flexible in a way the territorial big cats never are, switching between competition and cooperation as survival demands. And there's a quieter weapon most people never notice. The impala is built to vanish into the in-between. It thrives at the edges, the boundary zones where open grassland meets woodland and thicket. Out in the open, it has room to run and leap. Near the trees, it has cover to slip into. By living on that seam, it keeps both escape routes open at once, refusing to fully commit to either the predator-rich plain or the ambush-rich bush. It hedges its bets with its address itself. The impala spends its whole life solving the same equation the entire savanna runs on: how to find enough food and water without becoming food itself. It answers with leaping, with vigilance, with numbers, with flexibility, and with a carefully chosen place to stand. And it solves that equation so well that it has become one of the most numerous and widespread antelope in all of Africa. Not despite being ordinary, but because ordinary here is the result of 100 small refinements working in perfect concert. The impala will never make a dramatic kill. It will never top a food chain. But survival here is its own kind of victory. And the impala has turned simply staying alive into an art form. We've reached the end of the hunters and the hunted. But there's one role left, one final job on the savanna that no one wants, and that everything depends on. We'll end with the animal nobody wants to look at. The marabou stork has been called the ugliest bird in the world, and it's hard to argue. A bald, scabbed, pinkish head, a heavy dagger of a bill, a grotesque inflatable pouch hanging from its throat.
a hunched undertaker's stance, draped in dark wing feathers that look unsettlingly like a funeral cloak. It stalks the edges of every kill and every carcass, waiting. It even earned the grim nickname, the Undertaker Bird. Everything about it screams death.
And that is exactly why it's one of the most important animals on the entire savanna. Because the savanna runs on death. 1,000,000 wildebeest, countless kills, animals dropping daily across thousands of square kilometers. And all of that death has to go somewhere. A carcass left to rot isn't just unpleasant, it's a bomb of disease. Anthrax, botulism, bacteria that could sweep through the herds and kill far more animals than any predator. Something has to clean it up, fast, and render it harmless. That grim job belongs to the scavengers, and the marabou is one of their undisputed masters. That hideous bald head. It's a tool. Feathers in a carcass would trap blood and bacteria, breeding infection. A bare head stays cleaner as the bird plunges deep into a body cavity to feed. Function disguised as ugliness. The same lesson this entire episode keeps teaching. That massive bill can tear through hide and gulp down scraps that would choke other animals. And the marabou's stomach is a biological furnace, armed with acids and defenses powerful enough to neutralize the very toxins and pathogens that make rotting meat lethal. It eats the death that would otherwise spread, and it dies harmlessly inside the bird. The undertaker doesn't just bury the dead, it detoxifies them. The marabou is also far more than a passive scavenger. It's an opportunist of the highest order, wading into shallows to spear fish, snatching up locusts during swarms, raiding the nests of other birds, even hunting flamingos and small mammals when the chance appears. It follows grass fires to catch fleeing prey and trails the great migrations for the inevitable casualties. It has built a life out of being wherever death is about to happen, and being ready when it does. And here, at the end, is the lesson the whole savanna has been trying to teach us. We came looking for kings and found a thief. We met a coward who outhunts the king, a clown that carries knives, prey that hunts its hunters, and a creature the size of a house cat that frightens lions. Now we end with the ugliest bird alive and discover the entire ecosystem would collapse into disease and rot without it. That's the real truth of the African savanna. Power here is never what it appears. The crown means nothing. The reputation means nothing. What matters is the job each animal does, the niche it fills, the role it plays in a machine so intricate that even the undertaker is irreplaceable. Beautiful or hideous, hunter or hunted, king or scavenger. Every one of them is here because the savanna cannot function without them. It's not a kingdom, it's a system. And in this system, survival has no mercy, but it has a perfect, ruthless logic. Every animal you've met today is a different answer to the same impossible question. How do you stay alive one more day on the most dangerous plane on Earth? They've all found their answer. And tomorrow, when the sun rises over the savanna, every one of them will have to find it again.